Alright guys, welcome back. GM Light here. Today we're going to be talking about Cobweb. Now this is a movie that just totally got fucked over by the studio that released it. They thought that it was a good idea to open it on Barbenheimer weekend. Literally the biggest box office weekend since I think Spider-Man No Way Home. Barbie and Oppenheimer just totally swept up the competition. No other movies really had a chance that were coming out. It killed a lot of movies that were already out. And it killed this movie, which had the misfortune of being released the exact same weekend that they released. So with that, it just kind of feels like the movie got buried. Nobody's really talking about it. And I think that it's a damn shame because this movie was a huge surprise. So for just a quick synopsis, Cobweb's about when young Peter is plagued by a mysterious constant noise from inside his bedroom wall, a tapping that his parents insist is in his imagination. As his fear intensifies, he starts to believe that his parents are hiding a terrible and dangerous secret. I think that's just a little taste of what the movie is. There's a lot of mysteries in it. You don't really always know everyone's full intentions, if the parents are trying to protect him, if they have evil plans for their child. You don't exactly know until the whole thing plays out, and that's something that I really dug about this movie. It has one of those situations where the second viewing is definitely not going to be the same as the first viewing. I think that when I watch it again, I will probably notice a lot more things that will make a lot more sense in the context of knowing the full story that I wouldn't have picked up on before, because you're watching this puzzle kind of play out. And that's definitely what the story really orients itself around, is this mystery and the fact that you really don't know where the story is going. And with that, the movie really sets a mood. I think it's a very Halloween-ish movie, which I think that would have been a perfect release kind of slot for it. It would have perfectly slid into October, and I think that it could have found a good little audience there. And it just wasn't properly marketed. It has a very fall kind of feeling. It also has a nostalgic like quality. You get that a lot with the house and the wallpaper and everything. Some of it too kind of reminded me of a little bit of the aesthetic of a movie like Skinamarink, where it's trying to lull you into that nostalgia kind of cozy fall feeling, but there's also something unnerving about it, something that kind of makes you feel primal childlike terror. And all of that just sums up to be a great little horror movie, and I'm always going to appreciate a little bit of a sleeper horror gem that's kind of hidden. This is also a movie that you don't really want to know a lot going in. I would avoid spoilers as much as I can. I'm not really going to go into full detail on the story when in this review, because I think that a lot of the experience is definitely enhanced by kind of going in a little bit more blind. The performances are pretty top-notch, especially from the parents. I think that they both give something pretty different. Like Lizzie Kaplan kind of gives a very odd performance with this mother. I think she's the one where you feel the most unsure about what her motivations really are, because sometimes she seems delusional and then other times she seems just protective and mother-like. You really never know what's going on with her throughout most of the movie. So her side was great. And then Anthony Starr, I love this guy. I feel like this is the first project that I've really seen with him outside of being Homelander in The Boys. And I think that he brings some of that energy from that role to here, but also just does it in a whole different way. And that's a good thing, because sometimes with that, he plays the character of Homelander just so damn well that I kind of have a hard time seeing him and separating him from that, because he plays Homelander almost too well. And although it's hard to separate, and he does bring some Homelander isms to this role, I think that he really makes it his own and gives and delivers a pretty compelling performance. And he definitely sells you on it. And kind of more specifically what I mean with what he brings from Homelander, he has that weird irritability to him that he has in Homelander. There's that instability to him, and you don't exactly understand what he's thinking, or you have that feeling that he could snap at any moment. But that's also just what's so good about Anthony Starr. He delivers a very quiet intimidation factor. He performs in a way where you're just as much afraid of him when he's quiet and subdued as when he's angry and emotional and he's yelling. Both sides to that, he plays very well. And that's just a testament to how much of a great actor he is. But besides that, just with the movie in general, like I said, it starts out very intriguing. You don't know where it's going. And in those moments, it's the atmosphere that allows you to have something to latch onto throughout this movie. There's very suspenseful scenes. They're able to emulate childhood fear pretty convincingly. And without going into too much depth, there's a lot of scenes where you feel the danger in the situation. It feels like the characters are walking on eggshells. You're very much afraid for them, but you're not exactly sure why. And the director really knew how to use the dark to create creepy, effective sequences, perfectly illuminating or covering with darkness, just the right angles, the perfect shots to creep you out, because that's a balancing act of either not showing enough and not being afraid, or showing too much and kind of spoiling what's hiding in the dark. There's just that perfect illumination, and I always appreciate when a movie pulls that off with shots like that. There's also pretty unexpected twists just when you think that you have the movie all figured out, and when it's starting to give you answers, it kind of has a tendency to pull the rug out from under you and deliver something a little bit unexpected. I didn't exactly see the direction changing, but it was something where I thought I had it figured out, and I was semi-right, but what it does is something very different, and it kind of answered my questions, but in a way that's very different from what I was expecting. It's just such a damn shame that this movie got the shittiest possible treatment for a release date. It's been like 3 weeks since the movie came out, and it's already on VOD, and which is where I watched it, because Halloween is emphasized pretty heavily. Just the way that the characters dress, the leaves, you feel all of that fall aesthetic, and it really would have made for just such a great October to September release. So I can't recommend this movie enough. It's definitely a great horror movie release. We haven't had a whole ton of them this year, unfortunately. We've had a few good ones like Infinity Pool and some great horror sequels, but besides that, I feel like we've been lacking some original horror movies this year. So this was a very welcomed hidden gem addition to that. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Have you seen Cobweb? Are you gonna see it after watching this review? Let me know. I'd love to hear it, and have a good one.